Today morning, I have discovered another referent reality of the world. That is called conflict load. CNFLICT LOAD. Something like a information load, okay? So conflict load, I mean the mind or the thought process or the awareness of the individual is pulled with force, maybe with equal force, but maybe with a relatively different force, but with force, by minimum two things, two linkages, or sometimes even more than that. There are classical definitions about conflict in psychology, developed by a great psychologist by name Albert Bandura. He has identified, as I remember from my postgraduate classrooms, three basic types of confidence, or four. One is approach conflict. There are two things or two sets of things. Should I approach this, or should I buy this, or should I take this, or should I go for this, or should I go for that? Both are approachable, but you can choose only one. So that is the problem, The choosing only one is again the problem. That is, for example, is another major conflict almost perhaps every human being in today's world is undergoing unconsciously or subconsciously or preconsciously or even consciously. That is, there is a central notion that everybody is seemingly agreeing that there is only one God. But different religions are talking about different gods. So, whether this God is to be approached or that God is to be approached. So, and you can choose only one God. What is wrong, for example, in the case of religion, if people are allowed to choose more than one God? So, why only one God? So, but that oneness is imposed by the world. Okay. So that is a major factor of conflict. Or one set of, or one angle of looking at God is saying that this is the God and this is the only one God. Okay. And another party says that is their God is the God and their God is the only one God. So the populations are subject to both this information. Alright? And the religious leaders are continuously imposing them that you should go on believing only this God, only our God, only our God. Okay, that is a supporting factor. But nevertheless, that original sensitivity of the human mind is there, That sensitivity makes you, without any training, enjoy the beauty of the flowers or the birds or the plants or the films or stories and poetry and all that. That sensitivity might be secretly sensing at least once that, then what about the other God? They are also followed by so many human beings. So, but they may not have been trained to have the courage to talk about it. That's all. Anyway, that is one conflict load inside. That's what I'm telling. This conflict load, I told you, I am identifying it as a new phenomenon. So people are not aware of that. So all knowledge is making human sensitivity aware of the details of the reality, That's why so many sciences and technologies and arts and humanities and all that, they are all names of different dimensions or different parts of the whole of the reality. So then another conflict is the little baby develops with the natural instinct of looking at both the parents as angels or gods. And gradually the child realizes that one of them is better than the other. Normally. And it is almost a practice, at least in some of the Indian locations. Even a visitor would come and ask, little baby, you love your mother more or father more? Or you like your father more or mother more? Sometimes even the very mother may ask as if in a joke. They do it as a joke, but for the pristine, intense sensitivity of the mind of the child, it is a big load. That becomes a sensitivity to look for the difference between them. Get the point?
Yeah.
And definitely by the time 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, almost every child, I feel as a psychologist and a statistical psychologist, by normal distribution principle, at least 70% of the adults, and as boys they grow up adults, do not have a real respect for both the parents in the same level. Real love, real attachment. One. Two, they may have a strong preference for one of them and feel psychologically confused that I am not able to love my mother or my father to that extent. Or they don't go around, that's all, they don't go with them. Okay? And that conflict is little deeper that, for example, I should not be like this to my father. That also is attached to that conflict. It's not only that I don't like my father, unfortunately. I like my mother more, but that is a conflict itself, and there is a secondary leg to that conflict, that I should not be like this. I should not hate my father. So that adds up to the conflict. Like then the conflict of many of the people, many of the educated people, maybe employed people, especially in the government service, okay? They know that taking bribe or delaying a file or not considering an applicant standing on the other side is unethical. They know, their mind knows, their sensitivity knows, or sometimes that it is against the law. Okay, they know. And when they get a time, they will take this so-called bribe or insult and or something like that. They don't have that real concern for the so-called customer on the other side. When Mahatma Gandhi is talking about customer is the God, So that is their conflict. Then other conflicts like husbands pretending before the wives pretending before the husbands, both of them pretending before the children, and so these are all internal conflicts. Different wirings of neuronal information. Because any information or any idea or even every word is a neuronal network that this humanity do not understand. Even when they know, they don't see it. So when there are conflicting thoughts or conflicting doings like unethical activities, there is another neuronal network in the same entity which is aware of that, which is only put down by the load of information on the other side, that's all. Okay? So that is another conflict load within individual. Then those who have done various crimes, etc., okay, they have their conflict and they live with that conflict. Then another conflict is then the so-called products advertised by the companies. Same soap, for example, washing soap. Two companies with two equally so-called campaign images say, our soap is the best soap. Okay. Then the other company says that our soap is the best soap. So the buyer is feeling a momentary conflict. But it is, of course, the individuals manage it. But what I am telling is an example of conflicting message, which at least some people say that soap is not good. If one soap was really good for everyone, like one religion was really good for everyone, they would all have chosen that. Okay? So the other soap also is good. Okay? But at the same time, there are so many other soaps which are not good. But that's not an issue of conflict. But what I am telling is, this is creating a trend in the communication exchange of the human mind, where communication is the only linkage that is sustaining life on earth as of now. This, that's a critical point, Amaya. Communication exchange is the real exchange, not real so-called money stock exchange. That communication exchange is holding actually in delicate balance the weight and the conflict of the modern world. There's all kinds of communications of conflicting intent and purpose and impact are delivered onto the poor people, which is made available by the wonder or the unfortunate design called internet. Yeah? When you talk about information load, half of information is against the other half. Okay. That itself is a conflict. So you got an idea of conflict load. So most of the human beings of especially today's world are victims of this terrible conflict load. Okay? And conflict load is not good for the body. Okay? That is why the entire domain of the supremely great Ayurveda says, all the supreme rishis says, raga di roga. That by emotional load and emotional conflict only all rogas, most of the process illness happen. Okay? There are two kinds of illnesses. One is reactive illness. That means suddenly a virus comes, suddenly you take some poison, toxic food, then you vomit, you have headache, then diarrhea, fever and all those things. Okay? Then you're suddenly exposed to rain or some other lifestyle issue problem. Then as a reaction an illness is formed. That's okay. The other is process illness. Cooking process. Process, in the very process of the various systems of the body, there are defects and damages and anomalies. They have the so-called blood pressure, what you call, I don't even know the names of so many illnesses. Most of them are process illnesses. They are all due to conflict load. Especially in today's world, where everybody is eating so-called proper food, boiled food, and quality environment, everybody has a house, shelter, etc. Illness is increasing. And more process illness among the relatively affluent classes, those who have the money. Because their consumption and the way of managing their body, mind and intellect is much more conflict load inducing. So Amir Rajarshi, you have great scope. Your right digest is one of the most required items in the world. Bring that. So your right digest, rotate the body, is a very wonderful kind of a short-term active preparation by using the most available kind of plants or items, which are all available in every homes, like dry ginger, cloves, cinnamon, and so on, pepper, and so on and so forth. So this is very good, because this will act on the various resources on the body, because food is often decorated or expanded by adding spicy things only. So this central spice force, right digest, will bring all of them into bring into some obedience. So that's good, for the various illnesses imposed by the conflict load. The so-called IBP, so-called digestive disorders, so-called gas problems, constipation, then what are the kind of illnesses, So they are all due to what? Conflict load only. Because the intestine gets affected by the autonomic inputs of differences in excitatory, inhibitory brain waves. So that difference in that balancing of excitatory and inhibitory brain waves is the balancing of the body. So two conflicting thoughts, meaning one set of neurons are sending, do not take it, it is wrong. And the other set is imposing, no, take it. Tuck, 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 tuck. And in one moment, for some other linkages, in order to resolve, unfortunately, some other conflicts of the need for money or security or fame or popularity, they do the wrong thing. Wrong thing in the sense that they themselves feel guilty about it. Punishment and your penal code and criminology are a different issue. They are aware of it. The population or the jurisdiction believe that they are not aware. They are aware. Every criminal is very clearly aware of the details of the crime than anybody else in the world. They are just like that, pretending that they are okay. That's all. So, in a way, criminals should be left alone. But societies and the systems cannot allow that because of the damages they induce by the time they realize that they are really, really they want to repent and come back. That's the problem. Therefore, jails are to be real training centers. All the so-called motivation speakers and the gurus and other so-called sages should go to the jails and talk about enlightenment and good things. Because it will work better on them. They made dangerous choices in life. Dangerous to them. That's why they are in jail. So they are capable of taking choices rather than the goody-goody, good-for-nothing nincompoops who are going around various other things. So do you get a feel of conflict, Lord?
Yes, I do that.